kids, this is Fairbrother coming to you with a how-to, if you will, regarding SLOs, how to access them, the different changes that have been made this year regarding SLOs in reference to COVID-19, and all the important due dates and fun information that revolves around SLOs. So let's get started. So you will go to the portal, if it's working, which, oh good, it is. Okay, so you'll go to the portal, and you'll literally type in SLO. Now, for some reason, the portal is not working again. You also can access your SLO database in the cloud. But the portal is working, so we're going to go with that. Okay, this will show up, well, at least it does on my computer. You're going to press Student Learning Objectives. You'll log in with your e-number and password. And then, oh, this is new this year. Okay, this is an agreement. So basically, what I see, it's basically like rules and regulations that you've read and followed, requirements for ensuring testing integrity. I like to think of SLOs. My former principal would always say, Fairbrother, make sure that it is a star-like, benchmark-like testing environment. So that's kind of the vibe that I rolled with. So you will press agree. Of course, you will read all these check marks before you click them. Press agree. I've reviewed the timeline. I'm going to tell you about the timeline. You'll provide your electronic signature. Submit the agreement, and then boom, you are now in your student learning objective bank, if you will. So as you see, these are the ones that I've done before. It usually says the name of your appraiser. Right now it doesn't, but that's okay. But you'll of course select create new SLO. And again, it gives you all the information about yourself. You'll scroll down. And then this is when you choose which subject area that you want to conduct your SLO in. Either health, never seen homeroom done before, language arts, math, reading, science, and social studies. Me personally, I usually like to vibe with math, so I'm going to select math because I know as a third grade team, we discussed that is probably what we're going to do. Now, another thing this year, what's different is usually we're all used to doing a year-long SLO. This year they've decided that you could do a fall semester SLO and a spring semester SLO. Now let me also backtrack. SLO stands for Student Learning Objectives. Basically, that's a way of saying it's an assessment that you give in regards, let's explain year long. So if it's year long, it's an assessment that you give in the fall, and then you give it again in the spring, and you have to show 50%, your students have to individually show 50% growth regarding their score in order to accumulate your 15% of your PPFT score. That's your SLO. So let's say that 100% of my kids pass show 50% growth in their SLO, then that portion of the PPFT of my PPFT score would be 100. I hope that makes sense, and I can definitely re-go over that. It makes more sense also when you see the chart, and I will show you that. This year, they've also instituted, you can do a fall semester SLO or a spring semester SLO. So that would just be growth from the beginning of the fall to the end of the fall, or the beginning of the spring to the end of the spring. Me personally, I believe that children show more growth in a year-long expansion, so I'm going to go with a year-long. Now, with assessment choice, you can select an assessment. I believe AISD has, what did the SLO representative tell me? It's probably like thousands of assessments that they've created, literally. Or if you want to go that extra mile, you can create a new assessment. But if you decide to create your own assessment, it has to be approved by your appraiser. I'm going to go ahead and choose an assessment from the list provided. So, as a third grade team, we spoke about math, and I love to do geometry because that is an area of growth that, at least for third grade, that I've always seen, fourth grade and third grade, that I've seen a lot of growth in. So it also immediately matriculates that the perfect score, like the amount of points they can get, the highest amount of points would be a 24, total possible points on the assessment. Your growth target, which is what I was talking about with the 50%, is half growth. So let's say that the student received, got 4 questions right on the assessment. In order to show 50% growth, they have to then at least get 8 questions correctly at the end of the SLO the second time you give it. And then it immediately matriculates the TEKS. This is 3.4. And then you go ahead and you scroll down and it says, what is the focus of your SLO? So you can write basically like, what are you doing with your SLO? What's the main idea, if you will? So I usually say something to the effect of, the focus of my SLO is to ensure that my scholars, exhibit an abundance of growth in terms of geometry. All right. So then you have to think to yourself, always going back to the why. Why is this a focus? For me, I know that geometry, having taught fourth, geometry is a very highly tested STAR, is very highly tested within STAR. So I would say something to the effect of, it is my experience that geometry is a highly tested subject area in STAR and a vital lifelong skill in regards to mathematics. Now, differentiation. How will you differentiate instruction for those students in the highest performing groups as well as those in the lowest performing groups? So of course, that's when you would describe, so for my higher kids, these are the instructional methods that I will use. And then for my lower performing kids, these are the interventional strategies that I will use. And that is, of course, completely individualized, but you just kind of have to, I like to say, tap into your differentiation bank and figure out what that looks like for your class. And then for progress monitoring, what strategies will you use to monitor progress? How much time do you plan to devote to these standards? Daily, weekly, or bi-monthly? So me personally, with SLOs, I usually progress monitor monthly just to see how we're rolling with the skill and if I need to incorporate more geometry or whatever skill that you decided to assess. And then what strategies? That's of course when you just list what curriculum, what interventional practices you want to use, completely up to you. Comments, I usually write something to the effect of, it is my goal that all of my scholars show 50% growth on their SLO. And then your appraiser will make a comment, and then you'll click save. I'm not going to save mine today because I still need to think about differentiation for my kids, and I'll get a better vibe for that when I see some of them in person. Okay, so, and also you can't submit it right now because I have not been assigned an appraiser. So you'll go, I'm going to go ahead and return to the list. Yes, I want to leave the page. All right, so you also can look at resources, and again, like they list all the way from PPCD to 5th grade. I mean, they have hundreds of tests. Okay, so that's how you submit your SLO. If there are any questions with submitting or creating, of course, holler at me. Okay, so now I'm going to show you the different things, how they've changed due to COVID-19. So usually in the past, we've been able to print out our SLOs and administer them in a star-like manner, and paper manner, and grade them in, for lack of a better term, the old school way. However, because we're all doing blend, we all get to do blend, and from 2nd to 5th, and then for pre-K to 2nd, from 3rd to 5th, we'll be using blend, and then from pre-K to 2nd, y'all will be using Seesaw. So let's see. All assessments should be administered in the equivalent of one class period when appropriate. Of course, providing accommodations to all of your kids that require accommodations if the test needs to be read to them, that sort of thing. And then, of course, all SLO assessments must be administered within the district testing windows. And then also, let's see. Yes, they say we recognize there may be special circumstances where a student may or may not be able to complete an SLO. They are providing an additional exemption request that will be added to the SLO database to help teachers indicate this to their appraiser. There also is another exemption aspect of SLOs. For instance, if you have a student who's a very high achieving student who, when you administer your SLO at the beginning, if they perform very well in the fall, and then they perform again very well at the spring, but because they performed in such a high manner in the fall and in the spring that it's mathematically impossible for them to show 50% growth, that of course is a valid exemption that you will designate to your appraiser for approval. It is my experience that is usually always granted because that's mathematically impossible. Okay, and then there's also other circumstances that on a case-by-case basis that you will have that conversation with your appraiser. Then right here they show how to set up an SLO as a blend quiz. I'm not going to read this to you. This is found on page 29, and it literally, they give you visuals step by step in all the different subject areas. So if you're doing a writing SLO, how to make it an essay assessment format. And then they also show you how to do it in regards to math, like a graded quiz. Eichner had a good idea about, and they mentioned this down here, about how you can also create, you could take like screenshots of your SLO that you've chosen and then upload those to Blend in a quiz-like Google Forms type of format. Just as long as it's a secure environment, testing environment, and format that you are able to administer your SLO, you're good. Okay, so this, I'm going to let y'all read this. It just gives you a step-by-step how to upload and choose a file depending on what content area that you are deciding to do your SLO in. So excuse my really fast scrolling. And then it also gives you a step-by-step on how to upload it to Seesaw. I am not familiar with Seesaw because I am not in primary. However, my sister teaches Kinder. She says she's already created her SLO and uploaded it to Seesaw. She said she just followed these directions, and it was not that bad. All right, so let's see. Oh, something very important. Well, we don't have pre-K, but Kinder, y'all will select on Seesaw, SLO database, you will select attainment growth, and then first and second, y'all will select half growth. So for Kinder, it's different with the growth aspect. That is one thing I wanted to talk about. And then this shows again how you save and submit. The submit button did not show up for me because I've not been assigned an appraiser. Oh, and it's also important, you will submit your created assessment to your assigned appraiser by October 2nd. You are not going to submit your SLO with the scores. You're going to submit like what you've decided your SLO is going to be to your appraiser by October 2nd. Okay, and then this shows Seesaw, how to do it on Seesaw. Let me scroll down. Okay, timeline. This is very important. So our SLO window opened on September 21st for the year-long, and it closes on October 23rd. Year-long created assessments must be submitted for approval on October 2nd, but with entering the scores for validation, that's not until October 23rd. Okay, and then between pre and post test, you're assessing and doing your progress monitoring. And then if you're deciding to do a fall SLO, here are all the different timelines and due dates and everything. I'm not going to read that to you because you can access this. I'll send this link as well. Okay, our PPFT coordinator is Erin Kadish. Her information is found right here. I am the campus rep for SLOs and any other PPFT questions. Please contact me at any time. I will be very happy to assist you. I have my cell phone number written on my email, and I look forward to hearing from you. I hope this was helpful. Bye.